CCM, and welcome to CCM Sports Talk with me as your host, Lloyd Wilson. Hope you guys had a great summer. The basketball season is almost here. Today we have the pleasure of talking to the head coach of the men's basketball team from the County College of Morris, Anthony Obry, as well as assistant coach Corey Roberson, and one of the team's captains, Joshua Morris. Last year the team went 23-5, which is the best school record for the men so far. And I want to say welcome, coaches, captains, for coming on to the show with your busy schedules. I know it's crazy around this time, getting ready for the season, especially with so many new players and, limited returners such as yourself. Mm-hmm. And actually, this is your second time coming on to the show, man. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, to jump right into it, from a season from 23-5 from last year, what do you think was the biggest thing? How you guys think you guys got off to such a hot start?
I think that we stayed consistent, and stayed disciplined, and we followed through what the plan was. You know, we had a couple of things that we wanted to do early, and we wanted to stay with it and then implement that to our guys and let them know this is the way. And if you follow this way, success will take place.
I feel like, we gave our guys jobs to do. That was the saying, everybody has a job. Make sure that job get done. And our guys came out every day just to work.
From a staff perspective from last year, what do you guys feel like you guys learned about yourself personally, but also, as a coaching staff together, like what you guys want to bring into this new upcoming season?
I think we all had different opinions on different things, and then we kind of agreed on certain things, kind of like agreed to disagree. And then we all came to a common goal, and we all had the same goal, and that's doing championships, and have that mindset of we want these kids to be great, and we want them to go off to another school and actually learn something from the program, not just, just go to a school and just say, okay, I just played junior college basketball and that's it. So I think one thing from our staff, from a standpoint, is that we actually believe in each other. We have disagreements sometimes, but we believed in the common goal that we had, and we put it all together. And I think this year we're coming back with that same energy, that same purpose. We're still driven. We feel as though that we still have business to handle. We have business to handle that we kind of lost last year. Yeah. So we still have that feeling. And we want to get to that place where we know we could be.
From last season, what do you think was the game that really took your guys basically to another level? Like, what game was more measurable than the others?
I'm going to have to say the Harcum game.
Yeah.
Harcum game, there was a lot of pressure on them. They came out to play. We didn't get the result that we wanted, but I seen a change in everybody's game, how some people would come out to play some days, and everybody just came out and showed they had fight in them. Nobody backed down, and that's what we preach. To that last 2 seconds, we need you to fight. So I'm gonna have to say the Harcum game.
Absolutely, I agree. Harcum game was definitely big. I think that it brought something out of our guys that was totally different than before. Them being a Division I team. Top in the conference, and always wherever they play, they come into people's gyms and they actually just straight up demolish teams, beat them by 30, 60, and to play that team with so much energy and so much purpose, and have the coach actually call me after the game and say, "Coach, you got a great team."
Oh, really?
So that really meant a lot to my staff and a lot to me, for him to even reach out after a game like that. And so I think that game kind of changed our mindset and changed our way of thinking, and kind of say we can actually play, without no matter if they D1, D3, D2, whatever, we can play with whoever comes in our gym.
It's great that you mentioned that the coach actually reached out to you, so you guys had a good team. So for last year, who do you think surprised you the most, including with that game? And how does...
I would say two guys I would say that actually showed me something that they can actually, compete. One was Joshua Morris, and another one was Jaden Dawson. He brung energy, to that game that I never saw before. It was something different about him. His whole character, his whole demeanor going into that game, and I guess he felt comfortable, and he felt as though like he needed that game to kind of boost his confidence up a little bit because he was struggling a little bit. But I think that game kind of gave him some confidence and gave him some hope that, if I can play against them, I can play against anybody.
That's great. I'm glad you mentioned comfortable, because how we always talk about, and I want you to speak your piece on this, how coaches always say get uncomfortable. That's one of his favorite phrases. Even last year he emphasized that too. So for you, and as well as for you too, head coach, I wanted to ask, what do you stress more about? How much stress do you put into conditioning and being in shape throughout the season? Because that's probably one of the most uncomfortable aspects of being a basketball player, going up and down constantly, being that you are a fast break team, the fact that you always have to be running, moving, setting screens, or something within your offense.
Well, we preach that for a reason, just not just for basketball. It's life lessons. You have to be uncomfortable with certain positions. Certain things you want in life, sometimes you'll be uncomfortable. And it's not just from a basketball standpoint. Like I said, it's life. So we don't teach basketball. We teach life lessons. So when we do conditioning, we're not just doing conditioning. Yes, they got to get in shape. They know that. And I tell them all the time, it's not punishment. But they have to understand that when they go to an opportunity out in life, like a job or something, you have to be on your best. You have to give your all. So it's not that we just doing it for punishment. They know that they got to get in condition. They know that. Yeah. They know they got to be in shape. They know they got to play. But I think the thing that we try to stress to them is that it's more than just basketball. Just because it's hard, don't mean you stop trying. You get what I'm saying? So
True.
I think that's the main thing that I try to preach to them, that even though it's uncomfortable, you have to get yourself to that place where it becomes comfortable. And then you have to push past that next level of comfortable to get uncomfortable again. And then you got to get comfortable from that level.
So always breaking, passing your limits.
Correctly.
So for Josh, I know even sometimes that you even work out with Coach Corey. Yeah. Now, what do you think, what limits have you passed for yourself, you believe, from last year even going into this year?
Mostly mental. Last year I had a lot of laps, where mentally I was out of it. And now this year I feel like I'm growing from it to keep staying locked in, as our former coach used to say, or both of them say too, stay locked in and just make the plays. Some things are not going to go right for you, but it's all about, how you react to it, not getting down on yourself, putting yourself in a position where, you're hurting the team at the end.
I want to go into now, the student-athlete aspect of being a college athlete, because, sometimes I know last year some of your players wouldn't get home to almost 10:30 after late practices, and also just having a lot of work. The workload. I know I've seen Coach Corey sometimes, and you've come in frequently with the study hall. But I want to hear from first you, Coach Corey. How much do you emphasize being student athlete?
I feel like it's a self-explanatory thing. You have to be a student before you're an athlete. Reason being is because it's a life outside of here. This is a stepping stone for your next opportunity. Grades is very big, no matter what you do. I understand we as athletes want to play basketball and we want to do things that, we just want to play basketball. But the nature of the world is you have to learn. Basketball is great, but the ball start bouncing. The ball will lose air after a while. And what would you have after that to fall back on? So I preach education mainly because I actually played JUCO myself, and I understand the ropes and how hard it is and how hard it is to stay focused, and especially in the class, especially during the season, and definitely after the season. A lot of times kids take basketball and they pass during the basketball season. So we preach study hall all year round. We check on our kids' grades and everything because we want to make sure.
He actually just came through his class the other day to make sure he's in the front.
Yeah, because we want to make sure that our kids are getting the best that they could get and the help they need.
Anything you want to add?
Yeah, Coach Corey summed it up. I think that one of the most things that we have to learn from being a student athlete, they have to learn from being a student athlete, is that your grades come first, basketball comes second. But the main thing is you got to want it. We can hold your hand, we can show up to your classroom, we can do all that. But if you don't have it deep down inside, I think a lot of that comes from your upbringing. You have you got a lot of different personalities. And sometimes Joshua Morris haven't been pushed like Jaden Dawson, for example.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of like talk to him more than we talk to Jaden because the situation, the upbringing, and sometimes certain people have been pushed harder than others.
That's true.
So a lot of it varies. So these student athletes is cool, but you have to know how to talk to certain people.
Still getting that.
And still get that respect from them and get that push in them.
Very true.
I think that's one of the main things that I try to focus on. Yes, they're student athletes. Everybody is not academically strong the same. So you got to kind of know who your players are and then find out a solution to make them be able to push themselves.
This is kind of also be like a 2 to 3 part question because when you say know who your players are, when you guys go into the off season, what's your pitch or what's your message to players that you're trying to recruit here, and kind of like what kind of culture you're trying to bring up here at CCM?
I'm gonna say we trying to bring a winning culture, also a culture of kids that's graduating on time. We preach graduation because oftentimes people come JUCO and play 2 years and then their college career, their college going is done with. So we try to preach that we are more than just a basketball team. This is like a family, a brotherhood. We look out for each other after this. It's no longer like it don't stand only at CCM. So me and Coach Aubrey travels to see our former players play. A lot of times you see a lot of former players coming back to support.
Yeah.
It's a brotherhood, and that's what we sell to the up and coming prospects for CCM.
So with all the new players coming in this year, like I mentioned before, only 3 returners. Are you guys concerned at all about the kind of chemistry from last year's 3 returners and basically a whole new squad this year?
I don't think that it's a concern, but I think that one thing you gotta understand is that you gotta reteach all over again. You gotta break habits that former coaches, because listen, everybody think that when they come to college they're the man. So you gotta break them down and rebuild them back up and into the person that they can be. And I think that's one of the hardest jobs as coaches, to kill the ego that's already established.
Yeah.
So I think that that's one of the main things that every coach around the world has to go through, because you're trying to get the top players, and everybody believes that they're a top player. And how do you get them to adjust to your system and compromise and say, all right, I'm going to be all in, and without even, thinking about it. I know I used to be the man at this school, my old high school, or even because we get JUCO transfers. Think about that, and they come in and they would think that they were the man, or they may feel some type of way because they wasn't playing a lot, and they think they can come over to a Division II, coming from a Division I, or coming from a Division III to a Division II. They think they're the man. So how do you kill those egos? So I think that the biggest thing that we try to focus on is that everybody has to buy in. And with this new group that we got coming in as freshmen, I think with us we started kind of early than we did last year as far as getting them mentally prepared. And I think that's what's going to help these guys in the long run.
When you guys go in the offseason, do you guys look for a specific position, or do you just go out for the best players possible?
Everything's position. Everything.
Yeah.
We already know what we need for next year. We go out and we try.
Oh, y'all already years ahead.
We already try. We talk about it. We're talking about what we need for next year. Whether we need a big, whether we need a point guard. We talk about it. We look at our roster and say, even during the season, we're going to need a shooting guard next year. We're going to need a point guard next year. We're going to need a big next year. So we already, even in the game, even though we talk about different stuff, we already pre-plan this can't happen next year. We have to go get this person. We have to go get that person. So we already kind of know who we got coming in, but it's just the thing of trying to make sure it happens.
Plenty more to discuss, but we're going to take a short break. We'll be back right here with me as your host, Lloyd Wilson, on CCM Sports Talk. Welcome back, CCM, and I'm still here with the CCM men's basketball coaches, as well as Player of the Year, Joshua Morris. To continue on to the conversation, we were talking about positionless, I guess positionless basketball, because you even have him coming up with the course sometime with the basketball. But you also know who you want going into the season, or even next season. So, from last year, with 3 returners, Joshua Morris included, Saeed Daniels, and Zaire Woody, who do you think out of those 3 can really take in that kind of leadership role for this year?
Well, I would say Saeed Daniels really, as far as a point guard standpoint, because I always preach point guard. They're the coach on the court. I'm pretty sure Joshua Morris will do what he has to do. But I think Saeed Daniels is locked in mentally. I think that he has a different mindset. That he's kind of separating himself from a lot of other point guards that we brought in. And I think that's important. I think that's very important. I think that with his ability to kind of adjust from last year, he had a hard time. I think that this year he's really bringing the things that we need consistently. And I think that he'll be all right if he stays focused. He'll be that piece for us to. I'm not talking about scoring the basketball. I'm talking about being a leader. As far as making sure the team respects him and respect everybody on the court that's on the court at that time. Not going away from what Josh does or whoever else. But I believe that he is going to be that key piece to keep us moving in the right direction.
Being able to lead men at any category, whether it be, I guess, high school, now to college, and then even in the pros. Being a leader of men, even for the head coaches, can always be one of the toughest things.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like you said, we're always dealing with egos. People always say come man to man, but some may believe that one is bigger than the other. But to just go along, do you think it was competition that drove him? Was it experience?
I'm gonna go with both.
Both?
Yeah, I feel like to get the best out of players, you always have to have somebody that's willing to come take their spot. Because if not, I feel like we settle. We get real complacent. So I felt like with the people that we brought in behind him and the growth of him just knowing the system and the program and what needs to be done, elevated him to this level now. I feel like it wasn't always easy. We had some bumpy roads, but I feel like he's starting to get it and it's clicking now and it's looking really good.
That's how it is with, like you said earlier, with the brotherhood. You always gonna have brothers that go back and forth.
Very true.
But at the end of the day, everybody's going for the same thing, which is the championship.
Yeah.
So you're always gonna have some things that get in the way. In terms of bonding, I guess, what have you guys done to get the guys from last year accustomed with the guys from this year?
Run.
We
run.
Track
Run
team.
together.
We haven't done anything as far as any outings, but we do things for a reason. So going back to the conditioning part, when your brother's down, you're going to yell at your brothers, yo, come on, pick it up. And I think that's the main thing that we're trying to get them to do first before we do anything else.
Exactly.
Can you help me when I'm tired, when I can't go no more? Can you pick me up? And then when you get to that point, okay, all right, let's go out for some pizza. But I'm not going out for pizza right now if you can't trust your brother. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. So we did fast forward. Go towards the end of last year. We all know for those who don't, we all know what happened in Buffalo. Okay. But again, for those who don't, you guys went against Erie Community College, ultimately losing the game by 6, along with some controversial calls, with at least I think 5 of your starters fouling out. What did you emphasize, or what was the real lesson that you gave to your players on the way back home? Because that was a long ride home, and to have that sit with the guys from last year. But
I think the main thing was, you gotta think about it. We're going to somebody's house that's been in that league for over 20 years.
Yeah.
If you don't attack that game early, you don't get a lead early, then you don't want the game to come down to 2 and 3 plays. So I think after that game, I told him, I said, you guys play well. We had some situations where the referees didn't call the right call or whatever you want to call it. But if we hitting shots, that game, we blew them out easily. We just wasn't hitting shots. The shots that we usually make, we wasn't hitting. That's the lowest, I think the lowest scoring game we ever had.
It's around the 60.
And also, them too. They never scored, they always had 80 plus. So I think, they respect us. They respect us. And I think they kind of know, not saying that game slipped away, but they knew that game could have went in the opposite direction real quick if we were making foul shots. So I told my guys, they have nothing to hang their head down for, but for the guys that's coming back, you see what it takes.
Do you guys feel as though you have a target on your back from because you guys had stellar seasons for the past few years, and now, you're leading your conference. So do you feel like you're gonna have this target?
I feel like it's a big target on our back. I tell our guys every day, we can't sit back and just allow people to come for us. We gotta get better every day. We gotta push each other every day. For the mere fact that we are the region champs 2 years in a row, that we are winning 20 plus games a season, and we losing one game at home and losing one game in the region. I feel like people want to beat us. I feel like everybody comes to the Titans Den and play harder than they ever played before. I feel like teams that go 0-23, when they play us, they feel like they're 23-0.
Yeah.
So I feel like we can only get better and, not allow teams to pretty much predict what they're going to do or say how they're going to come in our gym and do what they're going to do. But do we have a target on our back? Yes, we do.
Is there a specific game you guys looked at the schedule this year that you're most excited to have?
I know we take every game the same.
Yeah, one game at a time.
Yeah, we don't. I don't care who we play New York Knicks. We still have the same mindset. So
of all the teams,
our coaches don't change. Our system work is proven. Just having the right guys to buy in, and once they buy in, then the sky's the limit.
This question is for you, Josh. Being a captain this year, what have you seen early could be the biggest adjustment to getting the guys together, or just being being that leader that you can be?
Just basically getting everybody on the same page. There's certain practices, where everybody's not clicking, but like Coach said, we develop that bond through the running, like we become closer. So pretty much that, just become closer, one unit, not a bunch of individuals.
As a coaching staff, do you guys feel like if you don't have a championship this year, is it considered a failure?
I don't consider it a failure. I just consider it. Let me just keep it simple like this. I try not to look at that point until, like I said, we take games game by game,
Mm-hmm.
and I would never consider it a failure. I would just consider it just being at that place. I like to seize every moment, basically. Every game that we go to, I want to seize that moment, and I want to adjust. So I don't want to think about being a failure right now. That's the last thing I want to think about. I want to just take every game by game, and enjoy the journey, and let these sophomores know that this may be your last game playing against this team at home. How you gonna go out? So that's the mentality I want them to have, and I want the freshmen to know that these sophomores need this opportunity. So failure is not even in my category. Failure is not even. I'm not even thinking about failure. everything I do, I want to stay positive. So,
And
hopefully that answers your question.
No,
in other words, I mean, our job don't stop there either.
Exactly.
So, failure would be a big word if, all our kids didn't pass. And,
That's a failure for me.
None of our sophomores got scholarships or got looks to other schools. That's a failure. Me not teaching these young men how to be men is a failure. Championship games, they come and go, man. Somebody with the dog might have a great day that day. So I can't really say losing a championship is a failure.
Well, I want to say thank you guys for coming in. Again, it's your busy schedules, giving me time to just talk about the upcoming season this year. And I just wish you guys the best of luck. Obviously, I'll be there with you.
Thank you.
With the games. But hopefully we can go far this year, and we'll see if we can bring the trophy home. So I want to, again, thank you, Joshua, head coach Anthony Obrey, and assistant coach Corey Roberson. Thank you guys for coming in.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you for watching another segment of Lounge with Lloyd, a.k.a. CCM Sports Talk. And we'll be here same time next week. Thank you.